Hey, yo.
Full effect. See, I'm drinking water today.
No tea.
No tea today.
What's good, my brother?
What's going on, man? We're back at it again. You got me. You got me doing more live than I've done in the past probably 8 years doing this.
Hey, man, it's all good when you got something to talk about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most def. I'm with it though. It's cool.
Nah,
I
it's
need.
been cool, man. Like I enjoyed our first conversation on IG Live, man. That was dope.
Yeah, nah, but I need to do more of these though. You know what I mean? So it's a good way to get out of my comfort zone and talk more.
Nah,
So
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah, man. Because we're about to go on tour, so you know what I'm saying. You gotta loosen up your vocal cords.
Yeah, nah, I'm gonna leave that to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, man. So anyway, let me just introduce this live real quick. My name is Frantz Derenoncourt Jr., author, publisher with Thoroughbred Books, and I'm on live today with artist extraordinaire, someone I have a tremendous amount of respect for. Very talented brother. That's Kervin Andre. Y'all may know him as A Comics Art. What's up, bro?
Appreciate that intro, man. That was beautiful. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'm good, man. I'm blessed. Excited about this project we're putting out. So yeah, man. It's again, it's with you. It's an honor. It's a pleasure to be able to do this with you one more time. You know what I mean, so yeah, I'm good.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Well, it's needed. It's overdue. The type of work that you and I are collaborating on to put out to the for the culture. You know what I mean? It's a lot of people out there who looking for this type of information, right? Like
especially now.
I was one of them. I
Yeah,
was years ago when I started learning about our history of Haiti, the Haitian Revolution. I was just thirsty for information. I mean, I was looking for stuff, and there
yeah.
was nothing kind of like readily available for me.
I think
So
I think it's just all of us can relate. You know what I mean? Like I grew up in Haiti, and the information I was getting wasn't authentic. You know what I mean? It was
right,
from a different perspective. So it was the same thing. Me as an artist, the visual aspect of things was like very important to me. And when I was looking for things, like I didn't see anything that portrayed us in the right way. So I was just like, I gotta start creating, like more hero looking characters of us. You know what I mean? So it was the same thing for me. So for us to be able to do this, um, it's crazy. I just can't believe it. We did one, we're buying a bellow, and then now we're doing this one. It's like wow, like everything I wanted to do as a kid, as far as like creating these characters, not creating characters because they're already here, but bringing,
bringing them to light
yeah, bringing them to life is just
in a positive light.
surreal. Yeah, yeah. So
Now it's funny that you said that that growing up in Haiti that you didn't have that information. It's funny because I grew up here. I grew up in New York City. I grew up in Brooklyn. So I definitely didn't have that information here. Like usually it's somebody who teaches you that because you're not going to learn about it in school,
yeah,
right? So it's going to be someone that takes you under your wing and says, "Hey, listen, this is your real history." But I never got that, right? So it wasn't until later on when I started reading on my own, doing my own research about what happened in our story, that I was like, wow, this is something that is dope. And I
yeah,
wanted to put that information out for people here in the US, right? Because I felt nobody out here knew that information. But
yeah.
as I was going through my travels, teaching people about Haitian history and the Haitian Revolution, I realized that um, these types of books don't even exist in Haiti, right? For young kids to look at their heroes in a positive light and the way that I write about them. So it was kind of weird how I was like I did it for up here, but also it made an impact in Haiti as well.
Yeah, I mean, some of the stuff you get, it's watered down. You know what I mean? It's almost like the complexity of the Haitian Revolution. It's kind of like ignored, right? Like there's so much going on. There's so much that happened. Like a lot of people, when they talk about the Haitian Revolution, they just go straight to 1804, right? So but it was like so many things that happened, so many characters that came and went. You know what I mean? So many battles I've been won and betrayal and all that stuff. So they don't tell you the details of the Haitian Revolution, especially growing up in Haiti. I understand here that if they don't do it, but in
Right.
Haiti, like
Right.
where everything happened, like you don't know,
Exactly.
it was just weird for me. Like when I came here, I understand like, wow, I didn't know this. So I started, with the information, of course, like you get more information here. Like I started going in and like, wow, like who was Biasu? I didn't know much about him.
Right.
Like you read a chapter about him, and then you go into your course, and then you pass that, and that's it. Like they don't go into in depth details about
Right.
who he was, what he did. You know what I mean? So those things, like, it was so important for me to make those available for people.
Absolutely. Yeah, like learning about them empowered me. You know what I'm saying? Like
Totally.
learning about these stories, because I felt like, wow, like when you read about certain stories in the past in history, most of the stories that you get, we're being oppressed, we're enslaved, something like that. But we
Exactly.
hardly get the stories of we
Those that
fought
fought.
back. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
we picked up guns and we picked up arms and we went
Yeah.
and fought for our freedom and our
Yeah.
dignity and our
Yeah.
justice.
And even
Not
if they do
asking
it,
for it.
yeah, and even when they do tell the stories, like me, I always look at it the artist perspective. Like when they depict these things, we always look um almost unhuman, right? Like
Right, right,
we
right.
don't like everybody else's story. When you look at the war stories, right? When you look at war paintings and all that stuff throughout generation in Europe and everywhere else, like they very, you know, regal and very big and strong, and you like it, and you look at yours, you're like, why we don't look like that? You know what I mean? Like we always look so unhuman when they describe our heroes. And I was like, okay, as a Haitian artist, first of all, um, I was like, there's got to be a different way for me to portray that for my kids when they look at things and they be like, all right, great. Like my ancestors were beautiful and looking great and you know what I mean? They stand their ground and did amazing things. So those were the things that drive me crazy too. But you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
and you've been doing amazing work, man. You've been putting out amazing work, man, and
thank you.
you're on your mission. You're on your mission, and we recognize, a lot of us out here recognize. So salute to you. And I mean, images like this, right?
Yeah,
Like this is perfect example. Like you hardly see us on horses and in battle
exactly,
and defeating the enemy. You know what I mean?
exactly.
So it's usually the other way around. So an image like this is powerful. You know what I mean? And imagine being a young kid, and you don't even have to be a Haitian kid. A young black kid, young brown kid, looking at images like this, like, oh wow, I want to learn more about that.
Yeah,
You know what I
exactly.
mean?
Yeah. Remember, I was watching what was that movie, Django, and
Yeah.
the other black guy was like, "Wow, a Negro on the horse." So again, those images were so limited, like you don't see them because the people that was telling your stories didn't really portray you in that way. You know what I'm saying? Like you're always the victim, you're always the one being hunted down and all that stuff. But yet we especially in the Haitian Revolution, we're gonna stick to that. There was so many battles won by the indigenous army. They don't talk about
Yeah.
these things at all. You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I make sure, for generation to come, they see these images and like, yeah, your ancestors did not sit down and take slavery, lightly. They fought
Right.
from the boat, from the day they picked them up and all that stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It was a constant battle. Even after, the abolition of slavery, they still went on and fought for independence and all that stuff. So
Yep.
uh,
Yeah, they didn't just stop with Haiti. Once Haiti
exactly.
became independent, then they was looking for other places to help with their independence, because I mean it was a colonial period.
Exactly.
Right. Everybody, there was colonies all over the place,
Yeah.
and enslaved Africans all over the place. Haiti was in solitude, right? I
Exactly.
mean, just imagine you have Cuba, you have right next door on the same island, right? You have
Listen.
the DR, Santo Domingo, you have Jamaica, you have the United States. You know what I mean? So all over, and you just overthrew your oppressor, and you standing strong right in the middle of the Caribbean. And could you imagine the inspiration? Because
Yeah.
news traveled all over the place, so
Yeah.
everyone knew
Yeah.
what Haiti did at that time, and they're sitting in the plantation and like, man,
And,
look what they just did.
and,
So
and
you understand, like, not that you understand why we were a target, but I mean, we were a target from that moment on.
but the crazy thing about it, or the amazing thing about it, rather, is after doing all that, right? The damage that happened in the island after that, you know what I mean? Instead of picking themselves up, they still went out and still try to free more people,
Right,
and
right,
try to
right.
still free and still go against. So it's like anti-slavery all around, from the southern, states, or in
Yeah.
America and all that stuff. They were, our ancestors were, you know, well, we don't want to get too much in the book, but like, we're sending letters to leaders everywhere and say, well, I'll buy your slave for them to come here and be free.
Right.
How,
Nah, man,
how
let's get
big was
into the
that?
book, man. We could get into the book. That's why we here. That's why we online right now.
Let's go. Let's talk about it.
Otherwise, we'd be doing whatever it is we be doing, right? So,
Yeah.
so pretty much, man, me and my brother Kervin, we've been working over the past 3 years. Well, Sheroes came out. When did Sheroes came out in 2019,
Yeah.
right? November 2019. So as soon as Sheroes was done, we were already talking about Heroes.
Yeah.
Right. So we started working on that right away after Sheroes, and then the pandemic hit, and then it kind of like slowed things down tremendously. So we put
In a
out
good or bad
Sheroes.
way. Sometimes, bad things happen and then create amazing things, because I felt like that pandemic happened and give me more time and to create these pieces. Like, I had nowhere else to go but to create, you know what I mean? So
Well, I'm
everything.
looking behind you, man. It looks like you've been creating like crazy.
Oh yeah, I went in.
You're nonstop. I'm like, yo, this
Yeah,
dude. Like when I'm not talking to you, you must be painting. Because I'm like,
yeah. I
boy,
have
you got the brush in your hand.
I have two canvases in front of me. Like, I work with on multiple canvases, so it allows me to be creative, live things alone. It comes in my head, put it down. My sketchbook is always ready. I'm always working on something. So I probably got like 20 paintings already written down. Even if I don't sketch them, they're written down somewhere for me to get, what I mean, to it when it's needed.
I'm actually the same way. Like I got like maybe like at least 7 to 8 different books.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Just the first draft of different stories that I'm working on.
yeah.
So yeah, I got a lot of them, man. I already know like what I'm putting out in 2025 and 2026 and all that. So
Yeah, I mean, a creative mind doesn't rest. You know what I mean? So if it's coming, like I always say, I don't make excuses, or I don't get mad at it. And like a lot of artists be looking for the inspiration, and they say the inspiration comes to you when they find you when you working. You know what I mean? The
yeah,
more you work, the easier things come to you. You know what I mean?
it's
The energy
true.
comes. Yeah. So the more you work, the more, like, people be like, I don't know what to paint. I'm not inspired. Whatever. Not me. I paint
It doesn't
dress.
happen. So you don't get like blocks.
I mean, I get to where, like, I'm not focused. You know what I mean? I get to that point, but as far as like creating content and stuff like that, it's always there. But sometimes I get in the mood where, like, I'm not, um, I don't feel like doing it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like down. Whatever it is that's happening around the world could just, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, yeah,
take
yeah,
a
yeah,
toll
yeah.
on you. You get a lot happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Personal stuff
because you
sometimes.
get inspired. Like one thing, just from outside looking in, like looking at you, it looks like you get inspired by current events a lot as well, right? And
Yeah,
that could like you could be working on something, but something that interests you currently, it's like, wait a minute, I gotta stop and address this real quick.
yeah. We're
And
almost like
I remember,
journalists.
yeah, exactly. I remember we touched on it when we were talking earlier. I think H&M came out with some type of advertisement for their catalog,
Yeah.
and they had a little black kid, and he had a little green hoodie on, and on the hoodie it said "the coolest monkey in the jungle," something like that.
Yeah. Just ain't sound right.
and what's
Just saying
crazy
it
about
again
that?
doesn't sound right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously that didn't sound right. You know what I'm saying? They have
Yeah.
a bunch of white kids, and then next thing you know, you have this black kid with coolest monkey in the jungle. I don't know. Somebody had a brain fart over there, or it was intentional. I don't know, right? But I remember, like right away, like I started seeing another image. It was a painting of the same kid that was in the photograph, and it was a painting, and on the shirt, instead of coolest kid, coolest monkey in the jungle, it said coolest king in the jungle. And I was like, oh, in fact, what's crazy is I saw that before I saw
The actual,
the coolest, yeah, the original thing.
yeah.
I was like, so I saw the coolest kid in the world, or the coolest king in the world, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I was like, well, I mean, it's a cool painting. That's cool for a
What's the
third.
big
I'm like, why
deal?
is it going crazy like this?
Yeah.
And it wasn't until after the fact that I saw the H&M post. So I know you reacted to that very quickly, and you put it out there, and I know that was a viral moment for you.
Um, well, the weird things is just like what you said is like it didn't sound right with me. I have two daughters, and a lot of time we let things pass by, like even if it's done on purpose or it's
Right,
just by mistake. But we've allowed a lot of things, and we accepted so many bad things, and I feel like we have to be in charge of the narrative, the way they talk about us. We have we have to teach people how to treat us. So even with the images, the way they show us on TV and certain things, like I don't consume these things. But if I can change it or direct it a different way, be like, nah, we're not accepting this, and that's what I do. And that's exactly what I did. Like I didn't like the wording. Um, if every kid on that advertisement had the same shirt, I would have been cool. White,
right,
black, whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever. I would have been not cool with it, but I would be like, it's a mistake, right?
right,
Because I work in retail too before and all that stuff. But when you see the white kid have Survivor, and then the black kid was the monkey,
right,
that caught, you know what I mean? Like sparked the nerve. Like I was just angry. So the best way for me to react to these things is paint. You know what I mean? I'm
right,
not gonna get on Instagram live and talk about what happened.
right.
Just one painting totally changed the narrative. And they
Yep.
had issues after issues, stores were closing throughout the world. I'm sure after that, like a bunch of other artists came, I mean, after that and changed the narrative in their own way too.
Right,
It was
right.
just beautiful to see the power of art. You know what I
Yep.
mean? So again, there's power in images. You know what I mean? And I feel
Absolutely.
like my job as an artist is not just to create beautiful things, but things that upset me. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna paint about it. I'm gonna challenge everything that I don't like through my work. So
Nah, man, it was a dope moment, man. It was
yeah,
dope. I enjoyed seeing that image everywhere,
yeah,
right? Everywhere. I think even it was on the news or something like that. So,
yeah. There was newspaper in the city. I was getting tagged everywhere. The biggest artists of artists, from Diddy, everybody else was like reposting it. It was just a moment for me to reflect. Like there's power in what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? So use it the
absolutely.
right way. I mean, I could easily just do whatever, but that moment like reminded me of how I'm needed. You know what I mean? For a generation to come, like be careful what you put out. You know what I mean? Like
Absolutely.
you're a
And
voice.
then,
So
yeah, and then that was one of my favorite A Comics art moments, right? And then another moment is like, because when I met you, I was already 2 books in.
yeah,
I had my first book, Haiti, the First Black Republic, which is this one. Let me flash it. Let me get myself a little.
yeah.
That was the first joint.
I remember
And
seeing
then,
this and I didn't know who it was. I was like, yo, that's what's up. Like somebody just doing something too. You know what I mean? So that was
absolutely,
yeah. Just the cover itself was just fire though.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was crazy, like working with the artist, like because the artists that I use for this is they're actually out of India,
Oh
right?
wow.
And they're graphic artists.
Yeah.
So first, I had to kind of like teach them about the history, which is cool because they were very open to it, right? And learning about the Haitian Revolution. And I was like, I found myself teaching them because I had all of these images, right, that I was creating with them. And I'm pretty sure some of them they was like, "Yo, what's this about?" But it was a cool moment trying working through it with them. And then I came out with Makandal.
Makandal. Yeah.
Yeah, so Makandal. This is actually the new Makandal cover. There was a different cover before, but I did the second edition. So I already had these two books before I met you, but once I saw your work, and I think I saw your work before, but when I saw it, I was like, man, this person is speaking my language, man. Like
Same
he's
lane.
capturing exactly what's in my head. So I knew I had to, like, if I was going to continue doing what I wanted to do, which is like sharing the image, but also telling the story, I
Yeah.
knew we had to work together.
And
So
it was easy though.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It was very easy. So the first thing we did together was this,
Yeah.
right? That was like our first joint
Yeah.
project. So you did the cover art for the book. You didn't do the interior illustrations, but you did the cover art. And I remember there was another image I was going to use for the cover art, but I was just like, man, this is not it. Like, it was just irking me. Like when I see a image, when I have the image that I want for the book cover in my head,
Yeah.
I'm not going to compromise too much. You know what I mean? Like, I want it to look a certain way because, that's what's going to attract people to the book, first of all. But then I want it to be perceived. Like when people see the cover of the book, I want them to know, like, okay, this is what this is going to be about. So I remember we worked together. I was like, I saw a painting that you did, and that always stuck in my mind. So when it was time for me to write BOUKMAN, I had something like that in mind, and I shared that with the illustrator of the book. So I have something similar inside the book. But then when I reached out to you, I was like, man, I need help, bro. I need help, man. Like, and then you was like, nah, man, let's do it. And
Yeah.
then we
I
came out with
remember.
this one, and this is like, I can't imagine anything better than this image right here for the cover of BOUKMAN and Cecile Fatima.
Yeah, I remember when you reached out to me, and I was like, man, I'd be more than honored to bless you with the cover. But again, the images you had in your head was the same image I had in my head. Like the moment you explained it to me, I was like, I bet, let's do it. Um, a lot of things, a lot of times people don't know. Like I use real people, I use models. So I actually had a friend of mine pose for the male, and of course I changed the body shape, the faces and all that stuff. You know what I mean? Because I don't want people to see
Oh,
it.
right. Yeah.
But like yeah, both people that posed for that image. Of course the girl wasn't floating like it is on the image, but yeah, it came out crazy. First time I saw the cover, I was like, wow.
Nah, man, nah, and that's on my wall right here. So that's actually, I think some people don't understand that this is an actual painting.
The original.
Because when
Yeah.
because when I send it to my graphic artist to format it for the cover of the book, it almost looks like it's digitally made,
Yeah.
but it's an actual painting
A lot of people always
and a
ask
big
me,
painting too.
do I do digital? Is it digital work? And I'm like, nah, man, I gotta do real paintings. And again, this is the thing you understand. Like even with this book, it's 13 painting. Well,
Yeah,
14 with the extra one in the middle.
right.
So they're all original oil paintings. That's why this book took so long to create. The images took forever to create. You know what I mean? Because these are all original paintings. You know what I mean? So
All original, man, all
yeah,
original.
I don't do computer work. Shout out to everybody that do that. I'm sure it's a lot easier, but try to maneuver oil. There's some large scale paintings and there's some small one too. But like we got some,
Large
yeah,
scale, man. Like
36 by
some of them.
48. Yeah, that have like 20 people inside of them. So yeah, the book took forever because I remember right after we finished SHEROES, I was like, okay, I gotta start working because I know we have to do hero. I didn't know we was gonna call it that, but I, instantly started working on that. So I'm proud. Like it's these images are just crazy. I can't wait for the world to see them. Even at the shows, when we're doing the signings, like they get to see them live too. So.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, speaking heroes, I mean this book cover that you did. Well, I'll jump to this. I was going to show very quickly. I was going to show the SHEROES book cover. Now, the SHEROES book cover is also iconic, and the reason why
it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. This is iconic, right? It's an iconic book cover because what makes it iconic is of course, we did 10 SHEROES. So of course, my first instinct was to put like a collage on the front of the book that shows kind of like all the SHEROES. But then I was like, man, it's a little too much going on. So I was like, let me choose one that I feel kind of represents all of the SHEROES, right? And one SHEROE that represents, that could, if you see this one, you know what the book is going to be about, and the other ones that's going to be in there.
Yeah.
So we went with Agbaraya Toya, and I felt that was iconic, and the way you painted it, like I didn't know how you were going to paint these, right? You probably don't even know how it's going to come out.
I actually had a few sketches in my head, but usually as an artist, right, when you started doing it, you could have it sketched down somewhere, but the painting take a life of itself, right? Like you start creating, and then when you're painting, you start telling the story in your head. So you try to figure out, okay, who is Agbaraya Toya? What did she do? How she stand? Like what was her facial expression? And then after I started doing that, I had a bunch of enslaved Africans in the back of her because she was freeing people going back to the mountain. But I was like, oddly, the way this thing happened is like I put the child to represent Dessalines, knowing there was going to be another book. So who was this child? Who is this woman? Because a lot of people never knew who trained Dessalines.
Right.
So I felt like it was needed for them for people to understand that child became the emperor. That child became the man that liberated Haiti. You know what I mean? From French occupation and all that stuff. You know what I
mean? And that's him holding on to Toya's leg, right? So that's what makes it so iconic that Dessalines is on the cover of this book as well.
Yeah, and I don't think people really pay attention to who this child is. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
They look at the cover and they see a child, they see a woman with a gun, and they know it's Toya, but I think they overlook that's the emperor on the cover.
Yo, that's what makes it so, and it kind of gives like Terminator vibe. You know what I mean? Like the mom in Terminator, and she's trying to save her son, who's gonna be the liberator. You know what I'm saying? Against the machine. Yeah. So it gives like, because this was way before. I mean, obviously Dessalines is a little boy. He's probably like 4 years old or something like that.
Yeah.
In this picture. But a lot of people didn't know Toya's story, that Toya is the one that actually raised and trained Dessalines.
Yeah.
So I think, and protected him, right? I mean,
they end up going back to the plantation.
They're in a plantation. They're on a plantation in a slave colony in Saint Domingue. Yeah. So protected him through all those years, raised him, trained him, and he ultimately became the liberator. I mean, that's what makes this cover like iconic, and it goes so deep.
And there's always a spiritual aspect of it too. Again, with Agbaraya from Dahomey, and they were really big on African spirituality, and you could tell that's Danto. That's the protector, and
right?
So that's the mom and the baby. You know what I mean? So there's always that aspect of it. That's why I had to make sure I put the machete. And if anybody that have the book, they could see the Dahomey symbol statue face on the necklace. Like if you watch the Woman King, you can see what was happening here, and how fierce that woman was. So
which is crazy because we came out a few years before the Woman King, right? So we was trying to tell this story from a long time ago.
Exactly.
But
it's the same. It's the same thing. It's like the Woman King had the girl. She trained him up being. I don't know who watched the movie, so I don't want to give it up. But they ended up being related. So it's the same thing. Like that woman that was part of the meanest military woman in Africa became, the one that raised the general.
Right. Oh, yeah, it's wild, man. So yeah, so that cover right there, and then this book is just iconic, and just partnering, collaborating with Professor Baina Bello.
Dream come true. Dream come true. It's one for the books. Literally,
literally.
Like, having my name, her name, your name on the same book. Like, I grew up watching this queen talking about our story.
Yeah.
And I picked up on everything and started changing my content as far as like the way I portrayed, the Haitian Revolution and Dessalines and all that stuff. She changed those things for me. You know what I mean? So it was just so much love to her, man. Always.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Much love to Professor Baina Bello. And then, so from there, then we were like, okay, man, let's just keep the energy going. I remember we were talking about doing all types of different things too, man. Like in the middle of that, after SHEROES, before our new project together, we were talking about doing things that we're still probably going to do because we have a lot of work.
Yeah.
But I'm excited about those projects as well. You know what I'm saying? Like different type, like graphic novels, comic books, and stuff like that. So, because I already have those stories, I have tons of those stories written as well, sort of like comic book, graphic novel style.
Yeah, especially the story that's not been told, like not just the war stories, but like they forget, like they were men. You know what I mean? Toussaint was a lover boy. You know what I
mean? Like, exactly. Like there's the stories that go a little bit deeper.
Yeah,
very,
into
very
their personality. Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, these are stories that are unending. Like, there's hundreds and hundreds of different ways that you can go with these heroes and these SHEROES, especially when you go deeper into their history. And then and then as artists, like I consider, obviously you're an artist, and I'm an artist as far as writing things. What a lot of people do with their history, they take it into like entertainment, where it's not okay. We don't have to go base exactly off of what happened. Yeah. Let's go anywhere with these people. You know what I mean? Like
what could have, what should have, all that.
Yeah, man. I mean, these are people that we admire. Like Maya Jean was a spy. Why not write a spy novel? With Maya Jean as the protagonist, or Biasu. Biasu in his camp. In 1791, all the stuff that was going on with him. I mean, we will never know exactly what happened, but we could probably imagine some things that happened, you know what I'm saying, in his camp.
But that's the power of a creative, right? Like they say a creative is more powerful than a knowledgeable person, because somebody that's knowledgeable, it's based on what they were taught, right? Like history is taught, they know it, it's created, then they leave it there. Like, but an artist, a creative, he'll create his own world. He create anything he wants to create, based on the information that he has. So
exactly,
why not? Like it could be based on true event, or it could be, of course it's always twisted. Even the news that's happening now is twisted.
Well, they do it with their heroes all the time. George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, all these guys, man.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So we get to have creative license over our heroes, especially if you're gonna put them in a positive light. You know,
and that's what I always tell people. You know what I mean? Like you tell the story of what you of course with what happened, but you don't know what happened. You don't know the scenery. You don't know the exact place. You don't know. You know what I mean? Like all you could do is imagine it and put it to the best way you possibly could do it.
Yeah, I mean, what we know, a lot of what we know is based off of what the enemy told us. You know what I mean? And most of the
Right.
time, it's painting us in a not so great light. So
Yeah,
why not
totally.
we take control of our own stories, our own narrative, and flip it. You know what
And
I'm
we
saying? And what that does is it empowers the next generation, right? So they see our heroes and our sheroes like, wow, like I mean, there's probably some little kids out here that look at, people like George Washington, like, man, this is like the greatest person ever, Halloween costumes and this, that, and the other.
yeah.
But you look deeper into the history, he has all types of stuff going on as well. So the same thing with our heroes. They all have flaws. Um, with the book, I made sure that I was fair and balanced, but also at the same time, like these guys accomplished some great things, what I'm saying, with all the flaws that they had. So those things definitely need to be celebrated. And I think that's what we did with this book. So
And that's what I was trying to do with the images as well. Is like create enough emotions in their faces for people to understand. Like a lot of time we see statues of them, like the Dessalines or Toussaint. You see statues. You barely see any movies about them, right? So you
right,
can't
right,
connect with the human part of it.
exactly,
So
right,
when I create these images, you understand that we're human. The
right.
human, what I mean, aspect of it, I think a lot of time we ignore and be like, well, so and so wasn't my favorite, blah blah blah. But it, that's why they all heroes. You know what I mean, on their own right. You know what I mean? Because they've done so many things, they've done so much. Of course, they made mistakes, but again, it's the human aspect of it. You just gotta connect. Like, yeah, these people were human at younger age, doing amazing things, fighting one of the biggest army, three of the biggest army in the world.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So
absolutely,
it,
absolutely,
it,
man.
it, it,
They accomplished some
I
great
can't
things.
stand when people say I'm not my ancestors. Like I don't know what that means. Like they won't stand for that. Like our ancestors done some amazing things. You know what I'm saying? Like I would not stand for anybody that disrespect or say any other thing about any
Same,
of them
same here.
guys.
Any of them. Any
Any
of
of them. Yeah.
them. Same here, bro. All right. So we did BOUKMAN. That was our first project together. And then we went along, and a year later, we put out SHEROES along with Professor Baina Bello. And then just last week, man, it's been like less than a week since we actually dropped our new project together. So we went ahead and we got together again, and then we dropped Heroes of the
Yeah.
Haitian Revolution.
I did a few covers for that one, but you were stalking that one. That's what you wanted.
Hey, listen, man. As soon as I saw this painting of yours, I knew that was the cover, right? I already knew. So, I mean, the reason why I love this painting of yours, especially as I love the painting alone as its own entity, but on the cover of the book, Heroes of the Haitian Revolution, it gives the person who's looking at it, like it's one person on the cover at first, but then it's really four people on the cover, right? Like because the statues in the background, like without crowding the book cover, you manage to kind of like have it focused on one person, but then in the background you have Dessalines, Toussaint, Pétion, right? And they're all in the book, right? But you have Christophe, and then of course you pay respect, and Christophe is paying respect to all of those heroes because they're in his house,
Yeah.
right? As statues and busts. But we have a focus on him, and this is Christophe during the kingdom, right? This is not him fighting and this and the other. This is the kingdom. He's King Henry,
Yeah.
right? And he's in his palace, and it's just dope, man. And
And
like
and
I love the way you captured it.
and that was the goal. You know what I mean? That was the goal. Him sitting the way he's sitting, not in fighting mode, but him being a king in the north, and of course giving honor to those that fought with him, that left his brothers, regardless of different ideologies and all that stuff. They fought together to liberate this country. That's
Yeah,
what they did. So I wanted to make sure they have them in the background with him. You know what I mean? So of course, in a beautiful palace, known as Sanssouci and all that stuff. But yeah, that's the image. Like a lot of time they show us like we not. I want to remind the world like we had emperors and we had kings. We have that. You know what I mean? And we still have the monuments to prove it. Like the Sanssouci is still there standing. Of course, after the earthquake in decades ago, destroyed it. But Citadel is still there. This man was, building things after things. Real great leader when it comes to education, and yeah, I wasn't bad. I wasn't mad at the choice so I was like, all right, cool. I rock with it too.
Nah, man, King Henry, and of course, people know, Toussaint. Toussaint probably is probably the most worldwide person that is known in Haitian history. So I don't feel that Toussaint. Like my feeling was, I don't feel like Toussaint has to be on the cover of another book, right?
Yeah, it's everywhere. They probably have the most statues throughout the world.
Absolutely, and he's been written about the most, out of all of them. That's
rightfully so.
Rightfully so. I mean, he earned it, and he was great. And I'm not taking anything away from Toussaint. I'm just saying there are some other guys that we need to talk about too. You know what I mean? That okay, yeah, Toussaint, right? Dessalines, of course, Dessalines could have been on the cover of the book. But I already have Dessalines on the cover of one of my books, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, let me spread the love a little bit. But then, if you're talking about leaving a legacy, right, for next generations, that would impact them in a positive way, and look back at our ancestors and like, man, they did some big things. You have to include Christophe in that conversation.
Totally.
I mean, he probably left the most power. He probably left the most lasting legacy in Haiti.
Structurally.
Right now.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there's a lot of forts, but there's only one citadel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The Sanssouci Palace. Like pretty much a lot of the north. What we know of today was built by Christophe, right? So to have him as a cover on the book and bringing this ancestor light, being not that he hasn't been on the cover of a book before.
Yeah,
I mean, there's been stories written about King Henry in the past, like there's Black Majesty, and there was a play about King Henry Christophe. Yeah. I think there was supposed to be a movie about King Henry Christophe, but for now, and just choosing the cover for our book, this one just stood out to me, and I just had to make it happen.
It was a beautiful choice.
Put your foot on it. You put your foot in it, man. Like this cover is amazing.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. I mean, I'm glad we picked it. Like I love the black cover. Period. It's
you're always on black. Like even with the other like I'll bring this one back. You remember I had this one in black too.
In black, yeah. I don't know, something about black. I love, like, one of my favorite colors, black. I love black and blue.
I had the BOUKMAN in black, and I remember I put a survey on IG, black or brown. But even before the survey, you was like, "Nah, do the black one."
Black. I'm always black. Black is my religion in all form.
Nah, man, but it's the book turned out amazing, man. I'm very happy with the book. All the images. I'll just share. I don't have a whole lot of time left because we got to wrap this up probably like in the next 5-10 minutes. But some of the images out of the book. This was an image of Capois Lamont at Vetier. So this was a image that's in the book, and I have a few paragraphs about Capois and his contribution to the Haitian Revolution. But also, I know this is one of your favorite characters, one of my favorite characters as well.
Indeed.
Yeah, Georges Biassou. You see, I'm wearing the Biassou hat today. But this is sort of like the format of the book where we have a portrait of the hero, which is painted amazingly by Kervin. And then, you know, I've done tons of research, especially on these heroes. But one of my favorite people to research was Biasu. His story was amazing. His story started, you know, he was enslaved by a religious group in Saint Domingue.
Yeah.
Right. So like monks and like Catholic priests and stuff, they had plantations that had Africans enslaved on there. And Biasu was one of them. And he was enslaved all the way up till he was like 50 years old. Right. And then in 1791, the insurrections broke out and he started his own. He was always into voodoo. But once the insurrections and he broke away from the plantation, he was one of the initial leaders.
Yeah.
And he had his own camp with hundreds of rebels following him.
Yeah.
His security team was all women, right? Like they were the one that he picked out to make sure that his camp was secure. So, which leads me to believe that, you know, I couldn't find any information if he was where he was born, but that leads me to believe that he was possibly born in Africa, or knew of, you know, the tradition of having women security.
Part of that military.
Absolutely. And I mean, and the women were probably straight from Africa. I mean, you know, how Saint Domingue was set up, like most of the population was African born.
Yeah.
Right? That was in the colony.
Yeah.
So they knew what was going on, and Biasu took advantage. And once you get the book and read Biasu's story, I promise you he's going to become one of your favorite Haitian heroes. I'm not going to spoil it for you.
It's hard. It's hard to pick. It's hard to pick which one is my favorite. To be honest with you, right? Like you already have your Toussaint. You know what he did, right? You love Toussaint. Dessalines, amazing. There's nothing you can say about Dessalines because he did the impossible, right? King Henri, we already touched on him. Pétion, and then the unknown name or the not so common name that you start reading about, you're gonna fall in love. Like one of my favorite characters, Boulet. Boulet was like I don't even want to say anything about him. Like I'm gonna have to do a larger painting of him because seriously, like once people get to know who he is through that book, I'm sure like not many. You know, I think they mention him through Assassin's Creed one time.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Mockingbird too.
Yeah. So, but this character is just one bad guy. You know what I mean? In a good way. A bad man.
He was a bad man, yo. He was a bad man. Yo, yeah, Geno, he's also, speaking about research, he's another person that I really enjoyed researching as well. Because, well, like we said before when we were talking, like the goal, the Haitian Revolution was a violent period.
Yeah.
Right? But the way my writing style, I like to write it so that it's family friendly almost. You know what I mean? But of course, there's truth in it because I want the kids to be able to understand what their ancestors did. Right? What these men and women did. What they accomplished. I mean, they accomplished the impossible is what they did, right?
They totally did.
Something that no one thought that could be done, and they did it.
Yeah.
So that's not something that I want to keep away from children. Kids need to know these stories.
Yeah.
And we need to know these stories.
Exactly.
Right? So I want to put it in a form that's kind of more digestible for everyone. But Geno, right? Geno was one of these guys that
it was tough to write about.
It was tough to write. I'll leave it at that. And once you guys get the book, you'll get the story. But I feel like I did a great. I did Geno justice, right? So yeah, and same thing with all of the heroes. Geno, you have Jean-Francois, right? BOUKMAN, Mackendal, Moise.
Yeah.
Right. When does Moise get his shine? You know, when does characters? We have BOUKMAN Tonnerre in there. So we have a lot of different people with different.
BOUKMAN Tonnerre got one of my favorite quotes of all time.
Oh,
I hope you have that in the book.
That's in the book. Of course, oh, I couldn't leave that out the book, right? So nah, man, it's just work that I'm proud of. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm always uh, uh, gracious to work with you. You know, on any project. You know what I'm
Same
saying? Like
here, brother.
the books is one thing, but I have paintings. You know, I have a comic
Man,
art. You know what I'm
listen.
saying? All over the place. So you know, I appreciate you for creating these works and you know, trusting in me. You know what I'm saying? Like pretty much putting your work in my hands and like, all right, man, let's do something with this. And and I think we did a great job, man. So you know, everyone out there, make sure you cop the book, man. Cop the book, Heroes of the Haitian Revolution. You know, go on the website. I'm about to put the website up right
Yeah.
now. Thoroughbred Books.
Well, I'm gonna copy and paste what you just said, though. I mean, the feeling is mutual as far as like, like I don't work with a lot of people. I don't trust a lot of people. So you supported me before we even worked with each other. You know what I mean? Like you showed love. You came to my art show before. You know what I mean? None of that. So I appreciate you for what you're doing. First of all, you know what I mean? Like even if you wasn't with me, even if I mean, I support your other projects, even if they're not with me, because those stories need to be told. Like for us to be saying it, for us to be telling our story in our own way, our own words. Like one of my favorite songs. I don't want to say I don't want to no shameless.
You gonna start singing
Plug.
this thing?
Yeah, but it's like we paint different, we write different, we talk different, we walk different. So when we doing these things in our own voice, it feels better. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I hope the people go and get this book and really enjoy it and understand the work that was put into that. So I appreciate you for doing the work. You know what I mean? So anytime you holler at me, let's get another project going. I'm with it.
Oh man, yo, listen, man, just get ready. You know what I'm saying? Because we got a lot of stuff going on, but you know, right now it's all about heroes,
For sure.
and you know, I just want people to make sure. I mean, just for the, if anything, gift it to the kids. You know what I'm saying? The holiday season's coming up. They don't need any more toys. They don't
Listen,
need
I'm
any
a
more games, man. All that stuff is just distractions from what they really need to be learning. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like they in the matrix. We need to kind of like break them out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Don't get them completely distracted, because they're not gonna learn these things at school. They're probably not gonna learn these things. You know what I mean? And these are things that are important, for them
and
to understand. It gives them a sense of pride, right? To
yeah,
see us on pages doing things that, you know, just redeeming, like fighting for dignity, you
yeah,
know, fighting for justice, fighting for freedom, you know, things that we want to instill in our kids. Like, I mean, in the spirit of Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, you know, people like that. I mean, this is before those guys.
yeah,
Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, MLK, you know, all these guys, Frederick Douglass, these guys were inspired by the people that we're writing about.
yeah.
You know, so we put
The
together
Nat
this
Turners and
concept.
all that. Yeah, but
Absolutely.
the same thing with the first book. With the Sheroes. Like I had my kids picking up who was their favorite Sheroes. You know what I mean? They wanted to
Exactly.
be
Me
like.
too. Mine
There's a
came
lot of
too.
inspirational stories that happen in these books. Like that's why we put them together. So I mean, your kids could like. There's like a lot of impossibles that became possible when you read these
Exactly.
stories. So you know what I mean? Like even at a younger age or older age, you could still be like, yo, that's dope. They did that. Like you could get inspired any given time. Any characters could inspire you. So I'm already picking one of my favorite characters. You know what I mean? Like I'm like probably one day I'll be Jano and one day I'll be Dessalines. You know what I mean? Like that, but that's the beauty of it all. You know what I mean? Like you're gonna have young boys looking at these heroes like, okay, well, yeah, they got Black Panther, which is amazing, which is a fictional character, but now they have actual characters that have done things. They could
Yeah.
pick and be like, okay, well, I want to be Jano. You know what I mean? Like I want to be Toussaint, like because of things that they read about themselves and characters that look like them. You know what I mean? So
Exactly.
I'm proud
And
of
then
the work.
also, not absolutely 100%. And also, it's not like the theme of the book. Like I kind of have a running theme, of a self empowerment. Like it's not about where you start; it's about the impact that you make and where you finish, right?
Yeah,
So you know, just because we started somewhere, and you know, just in their personal story, I'm not talking about generations before that person. Like you could be born into a situation and find yourself in a crazy type of environment, but but you're not locked in there. You know what I mean? And you could put your mind to it, and you know, you could find yourself, create a better situation for yourself,
Yeah.
like pretty much what all of our heroes did in the book. So but it's always great when you could find stories like that to help you unlock your own, you know,
Yeah.
potential.
And they
So
were
you
all
reading the
selfless.
story. Exactly. So you see someone else that looks like you did it, or an ancestor of yours did it, then that means you could do it too.
Of
You know what I
course.
mean? And that's what the whole book is about. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like this is where they were, this is what they accomplished. Like an impossible environment, like in the worst type of oppressive system that you could imagine, they still managed to accomplish great things.
Yeah.
Not just for themselves, but for their whole nation. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's a great story. It's a great collection of stories of these heroes, these individuals, and it's inspiring. It inspired me just doing the research and writing it,
Same
and
here.
yeah, and I hope it does the same thing for everyone who purchases that book. So appreciate everybody, you know what I'm saying, for logging on. I have to go pick up my son from swim practice. You know
Daddy
what I'm saying?
duties.
Indeed. But man, thank you, my brother, for joining me for another live.
Anytime, man. Just holler and I'm here.
All right, that's what's up. I got some goodies for people. I know I've been trickling out some of the content. Yeah, you know, we have tons of content that we haven't dropped yet. So
Well, we'll be doing more live then.
absolutely. Absolutely. So we're gonna be dropping stuff little by little, you know what I mean? But yeah, thank you everyone. Thanks for logging on. We appreciate y'all. Go cop that Heroes of the Haitian Revolution book. Make sure the hit the website www.thoroughbredbooks.com. Cop the book. You
Coming
know,
to a city near you.
don't forget the Heroes book tour is coming out. We're gonna do another live to promote that for sure.
Yeah.
But we're definitely coming to a city near you very soon for the Heroes book tour. Me and Kervin Andre, we're gonna be hitting the road. We're gonna be meeting with the people. We're gonna be signing books. We're gonna be doing art exhibits. Man,
Yeah.
it's gonna be crazy. It's not gonna be a typical book tour, man. It's gonna be crazy dope. So definitely look out for that info. Follow us. Make sure you plugged in. But all right, man, that's it, man. We got work to do.
Let's go. Keep working.
All right, my
All
brother.
right,
I'll
brother.
catch up with you.
Appreciate you.
No doubt.
All right.
All right, peace. Yeah. Oh, okay. I see. Yeah, New Orleans is definitely on the list. New Orleans is on the list. LA is on the list. So said Cali, New Orleans. That's definitely on our list. We're gonna be in Los Angeles. I don't know what part of Cali you in, but definitely we come in um, on the Heroes Book Tour. So definitely make sure you plug into us, and you'll see where we're coming into town. All right. Thank you again. Thank you again, everyone. Peace. We catch up soon. All right. Later.